Hey there, we're the Westlaw Pirates and welcome to the show. We're here to share our thoughts on Northwestern athletics and college sports with thoughts and analysis from the visceral to the statistical. We run our tailgate with the red pirate flag flying high above as we give no quarter, especially the fourth. I'm Sam Walter.
I'm John Lacombe.
And I'm Eric Scuzgaspo.
We are here today to talk about UCLA. Scuzz, hold on.
Ew.
Just dial it back. You know,
you guys
flashes of the El Paso game.
That's right. You guys, as always, provide the context for your hatred here.
So in 2005,
a
season in which Sam, we might have traveled to almost every game that year.
We did a lot.
We went to Arizona State.
We
went to, I think it was the year prior. We went to Kansas. Anyway, those 2 years.
We did a lot of road tripping.
We did a lot of road tripping. So we were
young.
Really,
we were in our 20s. We could do that sort of thing.
I know, it was a glorious, glorious time. And Northwestern went to the Sun Bowl. We went to El Paso, and we played UCLA. And a couple things happened during this game. One thing is that UCLA got up, or I'm sorry, Northwestern.
We got up, yeah.
Northwestern was up 22-0 at the end of the first quarter. And TLDR, we lost this game. At the end of the first quarter, I, being in a college football stadium that served not just beer, but very large beers for the first time in my college football fandom.
Plus, we had a full pregame tailgate.
Yes, we did. I exuberantly approached you, Sam, and two of our other friends and expressed that was the happiest I'd ever been in my life, which, true statement.
Yeah. No,
very true statement.
It was awesome. Like, great.
And then and then Northwestern proceeded to absolutely blow and lose that game. The other thing that happened during that game was that UCLA's band, for reasons still unknown to us, was led by a juggler who was smarmy and obnoxious, and our friend Dan developed like an immediate, like, kind of irrational desire to fight this dude and was like shouting at him, and the guy was like making kissy faces back and like taunting us, and it kind of riled us up. And these two things in concert, like, I really, really hate UCLA.
Let's also not forget the two returned onside kicks for touchdowns. We're trying to come back.
Yeah, I hadn't forgotten, but I was gonna.
You're just gonna let it go. Yeah,
this is a long way of saying, like, for those of you who are young and maybe only thinking of UCLA from a basketball context, there's plenty of UCLA football context here for those of us who are old enough to remember it.
Yeah, in the waning moments of the game, because that Northwestern team was known for scoring crazy we scored 2 touchdowns in the last 4 minutes of the game against Iowa to win, to beat them at home, I think, to get bowl eligible. But we scored a touchdown to get within 7 of UCLA, and on the ensuing onside kick, they returned it for a touchdown. We went and scored another touchdown to bring it within 7, and on the ensuing onside kick, they returned it for a touchdown. It was the most, maybe not the most, but close to the most agonizing finish to a game we've ever seen.
That was squeezing the lime in the cut.
Yeah.
And not even getting the tequila shot at the end of it.
And in the days where Northwestern had still never won a bowl game, and that was such a big milestone we were all desperate to achieve. And goddamn, that was a tough game. But you know what? Kudos to us. We went and we ate a lot of Mexican food and drank a lot of excellent spirits and alcohol, and had ourselves a wonderful New Year's Eve that night.
We absolutely did.
Or Eve to New Year's Eve. I can't remember what it was, because then I think we flew back home and then had a New Year's Eve party the next day that we hosted. We were in our 20s. I don't know.
It is indeed. So let's talk about the UCLA of 2025. 20 years. Oh my God, 20 years later.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no. Wow. Okay.
And I thought Achilles Smith Jr. in the Oregon pod was going to make us feel old.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This is another level.
Oh, geez. Okay, so 2025 UCLA, coming off a 5-7 year last year, first year under new head coach DeShaun Foster. Interesting team. John, run us through the Bruin defense, please.
It's a fascinating one, to say the least. We all know this game is going to be a massive pivot point. 2005 hate aside, this 2025 game is going to be a massive pivot point in our season. And I wish I had a better read on what this defense is going to be. I mean, I can give you my knee-jerk reaction. My knee-jerk reaction is I don't think their defense is going to be particularly good. But I could definitely be off on this. So let me walk you through what's going on here. We covered all of this last year when we did our get to know the new incoming members of the Big Ten content. UCLA does not have a good defensive football tradition long term. And in fact, on the contrary, they've been quite bad, particularly during the Chip Kelly era when they were horrendously bad. And I could pile on to this by saying that UCLA just watched basically all of its best defensive players walk out the door through graduation, the NFL, or transfer, and that they've, at least on paper, done very little to replace those guys through the portal. But here's the thing. All of those things were true going into last season. And the year prior to last year, in 2023, UCLA, out of the blue, fielded a stunningly awesome defense under coordinator D'Anton Lynn. And then all of the playmakers on that team left, and so did D'Anton Lynn when USC hired him away. And then, last year, in 2024, UCLA's defense was quite a bit better than expected. Now, was UCLA a good defense in 2024? No, they were not. They were 11th in the Big Ten in total yardage. They had the number 13 scoring defense in the conference. But you have to understand that, and this is something that we talked about. Well, first of all, this defense, as I said, had nothing really on paper in terms of on-paper talent last year. But we discussed this so much, not just because of the defense, but UCLA overall, and this is something that has to be rolled into that 5-7 record that they had last year. UCLA played easily the shittiest schedule in the country last year. It's not just the hard teams that they had to play, it's that their travel schedule was horrific. No team should have the travel schedule that UCLA had last year. It's as bad as it could have been. Absolute nightmare. So, which is all to say, if this had been a bottom 3 defense in the Big Ten last year, no one would have blinked. It looked like it was going to be a bottom 3 defense in the Big Ten. And instead, this defense helped this team win 5 games. And this defense had the number 4 run defense in the conference last year. So I guess you'd say there are 2 sides here. One side says, this was the second worst pass defense in the Big Ten last year. They can't get to the quarterback at all, and their best cornerback just transferred out. But on the other hand, I would say to look at linebacker Carson Schweinsinger. I didn't even mention this guy in last year's preview because he effectively had 0 stats for the Bruins going into 2024. And then last year, he exploded. He had 136 tackles. He was a first-team All-Big Ten linebacker, and he's with the Cleveland Browns now. And I mentioned that there's no long-term culture on this defense, but in the short term, the defensive culture looks pretty good. Ikeka Malo was the top defensive lieutenant when D'Anton Lynn was there, and then when Lynn left, Malo took over as defensive coordinator last year. So if you think about it in the short term, for most of the time that Malo has been here and has been in some sort of leadership role, UCLA has been a pretty good defense that has developed defensive talent pretty well from within, particularly at linebacker. And I think we should all be very familiar with that exact setup because we also have a second-year defensive coordinator, and he has the exact same kind of reputation. So again, I still think this is probably a pretty blah defense. I don't think they're going to have a pass rush. If they can't replace a guy like Schweinsinger at linebacker, the roof could definitely cave in on this defense. And I'd be feeling unbelievable about this, again, if this wasn't all what was supposed to have happened last year. And instead, last year, UCLA developed some guys really well in-house, and they put something pretty solid together. But still, I think I'd come down to we should be able to throw on this team. We should have clean pockets. And Preston Stone is the ultimate guy to be giving a clean pocket. I think we're going to be in good shape here. And again, if it hadn't been for some of the pieces that UCLA was able to pick out of seemingly nothing last year and what they've been able to put together in the face of expectation over the past 2 years, I'd be feeling really good. But I still think I'm coming down in a pretty good place about what we're going to be looking at on this defense.
So Scuzz, offensively, there's been a lot of talk in the offseason. It was I don't know. Did anything happen transfer-wise for UCLA this year?
Can you play some music for me in the background here, Sam?
Depends what kind of music you're looking for.
It's a transfer party portal! Transfer portal party! Exactly. So, starting quarterback, backup quarterback, running backs 1 and 2, wide receivers 2, 3, 4, and 5, right guard, 2 backup left guards, right tackle, left tackle, and a long snapper.
It's so amazing. I just
will
painted
this team be?
I just painted this picture of like relative stability on the defensive side of the ball, and Scuzz is like, it's insanity.
Might they be good? Might they be horrible? I have no idea. This is an impossible team to predict. Hardly anybody is back. Nobody has played with each other. And yet they're like, there's some real potential opportunity here. Like it's nuts. So let's get into it. Let's get freaky, guys. They have 0 returning starters on offensive line. Now they do have some guys coming in with some solid pedigree and history. The guys have played at FSU, at Houston, USC, Kentucky. They have roughly like 90 starts across the depth chart. That general level of upheaval just doesn't typically go well. See Washington circa 2024. So, but there's talent there. The running backs are not just transfers, but guys that frankly have not looked good elsewhere. Jalen Berger is a 5th-year senior, a name you might remember from past Wisconsin and Michigan State previews on this very podcast.
He's still playing college football.
Indeed. This is year 5. I believe this is his last year of eligibility. I think he got a medical redshirt at one point. But he struggled to stay healthy. He struggled to make an impact at 2 heavy rushing schools. There's another guy, Javian Thomas, who was pretty solid for Cal last year, against weaker competition, I'll say, in a reserve role. They definitely have something cooking with their tight end. Jack Peterson only caught 12 passes last year, but he is a monster blocker. I'm forgetting the name of the Indiana guy last year, but on that level, whether he's on the offensive, whether he's lined up against with the line, pass blocking, sealing the edge, or releasing and attacking the second and third levels of the defense, this guy is probably the best thing they have going for their running game. And if the O-line can gel and they've got Peterson, making holes, maybe Berger or Thomas can break out a little bit this year. As for their passing game, the transfer pass catchers, Mikey Matthews, Rico Flores, and Titus Mukio Atiamalala, they each had about a couple hundred yards in their prior seasons across various FBS teams. Rico comes from Notre Dame, Titus from UCF, and Mikey Matthews from Utah. So again, we're just pulling from all over the show here, guys. They have another guy coming in, Caden Robinson, put up 2,000 yards over 3 years at App State, and then there was a bright spot on their core last year. Quasi Gilmer was a true freshman. I don't know, 350, 400 yards last season. So if nothing else, they've got some interesting pieces to give their new $1 million quarterback something to work with. And that's where this team probably gets most interesting. Nico Iamaleava infamously joins UCLA after trying to hold out at Tennessee for a bigger NIL deal. He did beat Alabama, Florida, and Oklahoma last season, but Tennessee declined to engage with him, and the multi-million-dollar price tag that Nico and his team were pursuing evaporated. He ultimately landed here at UCLA. Interestingly, along with his brother Madden, who will be a true freshman. And it's an absolute lock that Nico starts the year at quarterback. He was really good for Tennessee last year. He led them to the playoff. 64% completion percentage, 19 TDs to only 5 picks. But he was not particularly explosive. When he was throwing to Dante Thornton, who now plays for the Vegas Raiders, Thornton averaged 25 yards per catch, but nobody else averaged more than 12. Nico got sacked a lot, and interestingly did not top 300 yards passing against any FBS team.
Really?
He was okay. Yeah.
Wow.
I think I forget who he came closest against, but it was not one of the top squads. He was pretty good with his legs, but not really as a primary weapon. He rushed for some 300 yards. He's the type of QB that extends plays, moves well in the pocket, will take off when afforded the opportunity, but he's looking to throw first. Some of those like inconsistencies and negatives aside, that like he was the heart and soul of that Tennessee team. I mean, when I say he led them to the playoff, he led them to the playoff. And that's not to say they didn't have other talent around, but he was a vocal, energetic, exuberant leader on the field. And if he can do that for UCLA, that's probably the best upside that they have. But overall, like what he looks like at UCLA, it's kind of anyone's guess. He went through a lot over the offseason. What UCLA looks like is anybody's guess. They have a brand new offensive coordinator here as well. So famously, Eric Bieniemy came here last year to help kind of establish things with DeShaun Foster. He was let go midway through the season because it was not going well. They averaged 18 points per game last year. So they almost have to get better. But the new OC is Tino Sunseri, who was quarterback's coach and co-OC last year at Indiana. The prior 3 years, he was the quarterback's coach at James Madison. That is a pretty nice resume. But this is his very first experience as an offensive play caller and coordinator. So again, it's not just the players, it's the coaching, it's the scheme, it's the identity, the face, the heart and soul of everything is different about this offense. And again, they were near god awful last year. Ethan Garbers was just okay at quarterback. The running game was really bad. They've got to perform better than they did last year, but they have big experience gaps. The schedule still looks kind of rough overall. They probably have more talent. Iamaleava is probably the biggest, wild card upside opportunity they have, but the floor is pretty low.
If you or a loved one is seriously injured by someone else's negligence, hire Kent Simpson of the Simpson Law Group. After over a decade prosecuting murder cases in Chicago, Simpson opened his own firm focused on wrongful death and personal injury cases. He specializes in car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and other transportation accidents, as well as construction accidents, medical negligence, slip and falls, product liability, and more. Millions recovered for clients, no fee unless he wins. The Simpson Law Group, compassion, empathy, and vigorous advocacy. Go to simpsonlawgroup.com or call 312-332-2107 for a free consultation, and go Cats. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like everything Scuzz just said, their schedule is going to be in the race for most fascinating range of possibilities of anybody.
Yes.
I predict, like my official prediction here is that this is a real Jekyll and Hyde season. They're going to win some games where people are like, how in the hell did they do that? And they're going to lose some real clunkers.
Well, let's talk about that. They start off the year at home against Utah. Then they're at UNLV, home for New Mexico. They get a bye week before coming to Evanston. They're home for Penn State. They're at Michigan State on October 11th. They're home for Maryland. They travel to Indiana on October 25th. Then they get another bye week before they are home for Nebraska mid-November, November 15th at Ohio State before coming home to finish against Washington and then crosstown at USC.
That sounds bad. It's still not as bad as last year.
No, that's true.
Oh no, there are definitely a couple things that work against them on this schedule. I can tell you though, like I guess I'm gonna come down at like 6-6 for them because I can tell you how they can go 3-9 here, and I can tell you how they can go 9-3 here. They're just it's like if Iamaleava is great, then there's just a lot of potential wins here. On the other hand, there are a lot of little things where if you look at a lot of like the fringe games on their schedule, Maryland is just about the only one of those they get at home. I mean, you could maybe fold Nebraska in. I just mean like Michigan State being on the road doesn't do them any favors. Having to go at Indiana, having to go at Ohio State, like I don't know, like there's just a lot that
Utah.
Yeah, I mean they got Utah on here too.
Who knows what to make of Utah though? And that's just a weird.
Yeah, that's true. It's not the absolute horror show of last season, but I mean, from a travel standpoint, they are, at least I think they have a bye built in there, but they still have to go to Indiana, they still have to go to Ohio State, and to Michigan State. Like they still have a bunch of travel on their schedule in a short period of time that doesn't look that great. But and I don't think their defense is going to be particularly great, but their offense could be, right? I mean, like it's possible that it's like Tino Cesare and Nico Iamaleava, and everyone's like, well, those guys were great, so we shouldn't be surprised that they are great right now.
Yeah, that is a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, it's like it's not going to be hard to explain if suddenly they're torching everybody through the air, and everyone's like, yeah, well, because all these guys are good.
Where did they come from? Oh, that's where they came from.
Right, exactly. It's like, Tino's pretty much only been great for the past couple of years, and so is his quarterback. And their schedule, I mean, it's like, at the end of the day, like, they get to play UNLV, New Mexico. I mean, you can fold us in there, Michigan State, Maryland, and it's like Nebraska and Washington and USC. Like, they can score points on those teams. Maybe less so Nebraska, but they get them at home. But on the other hand, what if it doesn't work? I mean, again, it's like this team is not particularly talent-laden on defense and is absolute chaos on offense.
I'm going to tell you that like the risk of them going 0-2 is legit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know there's I feel like Utah. I feel like the specter of Cam Rising is kind of like hovering over Utah. Phil Steele has them second in the conference in the Big 12. And UNLV is coached by Barry Odom now. And they were pretty solid last year. They've got some turnover. They lost their quarterback. But they have like UCLA could lose their first two non-con games. They're probably going to beat New Mexico. But this could be a 1-2 team coming to Evanston in late September.
It's possible. And again, right, at the end of the day, like, I mean, maybe they end up at like a 5-7 or a 6-6. I think the single biggest thing, I mean, despite all of the chaos on the offense and everything that's going on there, and will this happen, will it not happen? The single biggest thing that may be their biggest Achilles heel and the single biggest asset that we will have when we play them is they can't get to the quarterback and they don't cover particularly well in the secondary. And that's, if we can make hay, like that's where it is. You can look and you'll be like, all right, that's it. This team doesn't have a good pass defense. And Preston Stone, like we should be able to throw against this team. Like I have a lot of faith that we're going to be able to do that. And it's possible we're going to be able to run against them too. Like it is possible they have a bad defense. And I mean, we will see. And again, they have developed some guys before, and they produced a first-team All-Big Ten player at linebacker out of nothing last year, and maybe they get one of those guys at some other level of the defense. But it's really possible that they are right down at the very bottom of the conference in pass defense, and that this is the kind of game that Preston Stone makes a statement, and that we're throwing the ball all over the place on this team. And, so that's my big hope here. And if that happens too, and if it's a case where just like everyone can then chuck the ball all over the place on them, then they may be in trouble too. Like you could look at a Michigan State and be like, they may get torched in that game on the road. So that's the thing. Like they can beat all these teams or lose to all these teams.
Well, it's funny. We spent so much time on their schedule last year and how much travel they had to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then of their 5 wins, 3 came on the road, including at Nebraska.
And credit to Foster, right, too. Like, I mean, again, like the expectations were so low. If they would have won 3 games last year, I think everyone would have been like, well, their schedule sucked. I mean, they almost bowled.
Yeah. I mean, they caught Iowa right after I think Sullivan went down with injury. I can't remember what was going on with Nebraska, but that was a surprising win. Even beating Fresno State to finish the year. But I do think Foster gets a lot of credit. I think there were a lot of people that were kind of scratching their heads wondering why DeShaun Foster was hired at UCLA. I think, he's not someone that had a tremendous amount of coaching experience. Certainly none in college.
Right, yeah. No head coaching experience at all. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, this was very much like I'm coming home to try and salvage this poor program. And, you got to give him some credit for circling the wagons and I mean, they went 5-7 last year,
right?
And some of it was a little bit serendipitous, but that's nothing to sneeze at. So there's a little part of me, like all the UCLA dislike off the top aside. There's a part of me like it would be kind of cool to see him continue to build on that. As long as they lose on September 27th, I'm cool
not
with
at
it.
the end of September.
It's just funny. I mean, like, we can for sure beat this football team. Like, absolutely. And we need to. We need to beat this one. You can look in all of their pieces and, we could be getting a Preston Stone, Nico Iamaleava shootout on the lake. Or we could just, find the answers. I mean, it could pivot multiple ways. But we can 100% beat this football team.
Yeah, I mean, all that being said, at least I'm happy that the game is on the lake because it means that they probably won't be able to bring their band because God help me if the juggler is still there.
It's fun.
Well, that juggler is no longer there.
That juggler is not there, but still, just the concept.
I have definitely kept my eye out in past bowl games or moments they've been on TV, et cetera. And I haven't seen one. I still can't figure out why the F they had a juggler to begin with back in 2005. Maybe somebody will let us know.
I'm just imagining our friend Dan, who a lot of you know from the tailgate years past, being at this game with us. And then suddenly that juggler 20 years later materializes and Dan just looks at him and is like, you.
Do they just let anybody into that band? I mean, probably.
I mean, not quite Stanford level of letting anyone in, but
Yeah.
One thing about
for the record, different Dan, but yes, but yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, okay, there you go. See, I wasn't at this game. Sadly, while you guys were living it up, all these road games, I was stuck in North Carolina, not doing much of anything. One other thing to mention, only because we previewed Oregon and we're playing Oregon right before we play UCLA, a notable piece of the Nico Iamaleava transfer saga was he tried to go to Oregon. And not only was Oregon not having it, Dan Lanning immediately went back to Tennessee and was like, your guys with an NIL deal is out here trying to shop for a better NIL deal.
That is a fascinating angle that I totally forgot about because
he could be at Oregon.
I mean that tells you how Dan Lanning would stack rank Dante Moore and Nico.
I guess Dan Lanning was just really pissed off about what he tried to do. I know a lot of people were.
Yeah, true. Maybe it was just the vibes of it, but
but he could be Oregon's starting quarterback right now. They chose not to. But either way, we're gonna get him on the lake regardless.
So with that, we'll go ahead and leave it there for tonight. Head to our website, westlaw.pirates.com, where you can leave comments and questions. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, all of them at Westlaw Pirates, and email the show, westlawpirates@gmail.com. Look for us in the West Tech lot of Martin Stadium flying the red pirate flag because we give no quarter, especially the fourth. For John Lacombe and Eric Scasbo, I'm Sam Walter. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.